Bracket racing isn't just what we do, it's who we are. It's how we identify ourselves.
What does bracket racing mean to me? It's my life. It's where my people are. My idols, my family, my friends.
Bracket racing is life. Bracket life.
Hello and welcome back to the Bracket Life broadcast, episode 85. It's wild. We're climbing up there.
Very much so.
Brandon here as always, joined by my good friend. It's been a little bit, right? So I don't usually, right, as always, joined by, but life's been busy. We are blessed to have my good friend Andrew Sturck. Andrew, I have your name down as Brooklyn in the top, so I apologize for that. But Andrew's
That's
back.
all good. It's been a little while, so I get the name confusion. It's all good, right? So,
yeah,
good to be back.
We got Andrew back. Great to have you back, pal.
Glad to be here again. Apologize for not being able to make it. It's been, as I said, life's been a little bit crazy, a little bit busy, and always last minute stuff.
And that's how it goes, right?
It.
That's it, man. That's life in the fast lane. That's doing all this stuff. It's not easy, right? We're not just cruising along, hanging out and doing nothing when we're not at the racetrack, right? There's life happening behind the scenes.
There's
so
a lot of things going on outside of the racetrack.
Yeah, exactly. But that's all good. So before we do get into tonight's show, I want to thank our presenting sponsors. Let me share my screen here. The Canadian Bracket Super Tour set up. We got 2 big weekends coming up for the Super Tour. With the change from Naperville's race being canceled earlier, I believe it was start of June. So they've changed that to July 4th to 6th. Up first, the Summer Bracket Nationals, June 27th to 29th at Lustville Dragway. So technically, I guess Canada Day weekend. Not really a long weekend though, but either way. So Summer Bracket Nationals, Lustville Dragway, 2 5-granders. Going on there for Super Pro, $2,000 to win each day in semi, as well as there's a junior race as always. I'm sure there's I believe Gamblers race on Friday. Same thing for the spring bracket break that, like I said, has been already moved for a date change there, but back to Naperville Dragway the weekend after. So should be good.
Back to back.
Absolutely, back to back. A lot of action, a lot of big money up for grabs for everybody there. Like I said, as always, or as usual, semi-pro will be $2,000 to win each day. Super Pro, $5,000 to win each day there. So, should be good. I'm excited. Gonna be some great racing. It'll be the bigger events, right? Obviously, we haven't really got to have a great big one out our way yet because of weather. We did have a big one there, 2 days ago. But we'll talk about that more later on in the show. So, Andrew. We'll dive into the Canadian Countdown. Talk about some of this. We got some TMP results.
Well, we got a bunch of results. So, so Cayuga was running on June 3rd to 4th. Saturday, we had Blake Sutton over Rob Lang in the quick sportsman class. I had to think about that one first. This is a great start. I'm off to. Casey Kovacs over Stanley McLean. Just as a shout out to Stanley, if you've ever seen any of the carb holders and carb cats that I've bought, you see it on the DSC Racing page. Stanley's the guy. He makes those, got the 3D CNC machine or printer, 3D printer. Sorry, let me get this correct.
Right.
So shout out to my guy. He hooks me up on that stuff, so always fair to get it out there. Modified. Bob Richards over Tom Mojo. Not shocked to see Bob going rounds. He was going rounds at Lancaster, picking up an early season W in mod. Bike and sled, correct me if you've ever heard this name before, Mike Konopacki, kind of a guy out of nowhere. Evidently picking up wins there. I say that jokingly if you don't know Mike is multi-time world champion. Street Sam Snap over US DJ Razor from the US. Juniors Jack Snell over Jacob Firstel, Junior Consi, Wyatt Rogers over Tiberius Dias. That is a name right there, Tiberius. That is not a dude I want to find on the ladder. I feel like that's got a very edgy name to it there. Sunday, quick sportsman. Dan Morrison over Mike Leager. Super Pro. Jeff Digman, our man,
Right.
Bracket Life rep, picking up a big win in Super Pro over Bill Fletcher. This is a cool one. Modified Dustin Taylor, Drew Greshik, two guys from the RCSS who consistently doing work, battling each other, end up running each other in the finals with Dustin taking the W. I believe Dustin had the Hard Luck Award last year where he had like a gazillion runner-ups.
Yeah.
Was struggling to put that final light on. Gets it done here, so good for you, Dustin. Bike and sled, Darren Bullwhip Johnson over Kyle Van Beek. Foot brake, Tony Valerio over Harry Lewis. Street, kind of a fun one. Frank Hood over Rick Tovey. Rick in the borrowed street car. I think it's the Tovey Apple for one of the quick 16 cars. Evidently, you can drop Rick into just about anything and he can win. So that is the way to roll. Juniors, Carter Daniels over Georgia Pettit. Junior Conti. Amelia Costello over Ryan Pettit. The Pettit family getting the two finals there. And the quick 16. Kenny Grossi over Steve Corvo. Again, somewhere in that pit area was a car that was borrowed by Rick Tovey. But congratulations to Kenny. He's the guy who organizes the entire Quick 16 series out of Yuga. Does a great job with it. It's really a mix of Canadian and U.S. racers, so real fun to watch that. But congratulations to Kenny on picking up a W after all the hard work getting things organized. And that is our June 3rd to 4th at Cayuga. Kicking it back to
Absolutely. We got a few results from Shannonville. We got all the pictures posted. I don't know. It's been a little bit since I've hung around there all the time. So I don't know everybody's name as much just from photos anymore. What I do know, we had Connor Steers takes the win Saturday in the street class. It's going to come, another shock to us all. Shannonville race weekend. We got a Saturday Super Pro winner, Chuck Fram Jr. I'm surprised. Sunday, Jason Chatwood, Super Pro winner. Two guys that for the last 2 or 3 years have dominated Shannonville, right? Like usually most weekends, it's one of those two guys that are taking it down. And I believe both of them have. Last year, Jason won the points. 2 years ago, Chuck Jr. won the points. And I believe they were 1 and 2 were awfully close together. So two great racers there showing off that, again, what they do. Austin Harvey did get a win in Sportsman. The whole Harvey clan was down there. I know there was big posts, and they have a blast every weekend. I'd love to hang out with them more, right?
They're a very fun group. Yes,
they are. Good for them. Carly Parkhurst and Kara Roberts each got a win in junior, I believe. I'm not sure which order. I believe Carly was Saturday and then Kara Sunday, maybe. But yeah, I believe they took that down, and so good for them. It was a great weekend for all. Looked really good. A bunch of folks there. Cool, quick side note about Shannonville. Street night event they did. I believe it was last Thursday. They did a no prep streetcar night. So they did that, and it sounds like it was a massive turnout. I've seen a bunch of posts about it. A couple of people who a little bit grew up at the racetrack. Trevor Connell, I remember Trevor forever, right? He was running our junior open class for a long time. This is years ago. It's got to be 10 years ago that he's been at least going here, and then running the street class forever. And then I'm not sure what Trevor's doing right now, but obviously heavily involved. So putting on this event with Dustin Baldwin and Brian Gilbert, guys that have hung out around there, just became friends, hanging out at the racetrack, love supporting it, love growing the sport. That's nights like that is going to grow drag racing, right?
Yeah. It makes a big difference, those things, right?
Getting people to the racetrack, right? Introduce them to what it is, and then with just a streetcar, and that's how they get through the door. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I've seen a lot of awesome feedback that they've got. It sounds like everybody's positive. They're doing another one July. I think it actually just got moved from a Thursday to maybe a Sunday night. But either way, you check out all the Shannonville drag stuff. Lots of cool stuff going on there. Aside from just the awesome race series. So good for all those guys. Really cool to see them all stepping up, and as a group, obviously working with John, the owner, and then Chuck Senior. Sounds like it was kind of a full collaboration on that to make it work. So yeah, I wanted to make sure I really talked about that. It was really cool to see, and I love the new ideas.
Yeah, anything that grows the sport in any capacity gets people out, right? Like I will suggest 70% of us out there racing who didn't come up inside of a racing family who latched onto racing found their way into racing through these type of events, right? But just going to the track, having some fun, just loose type of, have fun type of races. And then the bug, plants, into and then like from there, you're, depending on how far your budget can take you, you're latched in, right, for life a lot of the time. So really cool. Glad to hear that type of thing. And, when you look at so many series and tracks that are trying to survive, and I just saw a post today about a track in Texas looking to close down. Awesome to see stuff like this where we're growing the events and the track is growing their program. So good deal. Good to bring that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. And great to highlight that and talk about it. And we got to celebrate these things, right? Because we don't want, racetracks going away or racetracks failing and not making money, because I don't know. I got a lot of time of racing left that I want to do. So let's hope it keeps up. But Andrew, we got a bunch of results now.
That's it.
Moving through. Let's start with some Grand Bend stuff.
Yeah, so same weekend as Cayuga there, June 4th. What did I say that? June 4th, 3rd to the 4th, sorry. Grand Bend had their, I think it was second weekend for the Thunder Series. So Maple City Tire Modified. This will be one of those names, again, we don't use them much. If you've never heard of the Talbots, it's probably because you've never heard their name on the show, maybe, or not. But Modified, Jeff Talbot taking the win over his father, Jay. Junior Advance, Neva Gomes with the win over Sydney Freitas. Rock's Edge Extreme 32. So door car versus dragster set up here. Battle of the Ages. Wade, Matt taking the win over Harry Goosens. Bike and sled. Dan, the Wildman Bellew, taking the win over Brooke Libbert in a sled. So I guess that's the door car. Like, that's got to be the door car dragster matchup on the bike sled road, right? Because it's bike and sled. So that's your big rivalry matchup. Open comp, Tom Parent taking the win over Dan Morgan. Tommy's Motors, Top ET taking Kevin Stittle, my buddy. Another door car dragster final round, taking the win over Tyler Trio. Great for Tyler. They had to put a new combination in their dragster this year, but the test session they had earlier this year, they were in the struggle bus, but glad to see them get it figured out and get to the final in Top ET. It's always tough racing up there in Grand Bend. Lisa Wood over Kim Arquette in the sportsman class. Can-Am stock and super stock. We're going to talk about some stock and super stock stuff throughout this entire broadcast, but the Can-Am series made their stop. Peter McRitchie prevailed over Dean Magosh. Backstory on Peter: has not raced a ton, has always been in the super stock world, but of recency, not been in rides, jumps into a ride and puts it in the winner's circle. Now, I'm not sure how many runs he's had in it, but Peter and I get to talk on and off throughout the year. Just wanted to highlight that one because that one was one I was watching the rounds unfold through social media that day and seeing Peter going rounds. I couldn't help but, feel a little bit fan-wise on that one to see that he's in the final round and then getting the W over it. So congratulations, Peter. Junior consolation, Ethan Birch over Reese Hamilton. And golf cart racing, I got to admit this one was just one I wanted to throw in here. They had 65 entries in their golf cart series. Grand Bend runs a 5-race golf cart series along in conjunction with it on the Saturday nights with their Thunder series. So 65 carts showing up. I didn't get the winner on that one, but regardless, big W for the overall golf cart series because I think it pays pretty good too. Sunday, what can I say here? It's another Talbot in the modified final round. And it won't be the last time we talk about Brad in this particular broadcast, but Brad picking up the win over Craig Washington. He was the first of a couple finals he'll be in over the next few weeks as we go through all this. Junior dragster, Emma Pignol over Sydney Freitas. Sydney going to 2 rounds over 2 days, 2 final rounds over 2 days. Rock's Edge Extreme 32, dragster door car final. My buddy, I guess it's LS Bob Jennings now because he's got the LS in it, right? We helped Dyno Bob's engine, an LS build, wild setup going 590s. Works amazing for him. Over Bill McKay. Top ET, Kevin Knight over Mike Swick. That is dragster on dragster violence right there. Kevin Knight picking up the W on that one. Sportsman, Ryan Freitas over Brad Parkin. Open comp, Dan Morgan over Joe Parent. So just switching the roles on a Sunday afternoon. And then bike and sled, Ian Washington over Nelson Tremblay. Stock and super stock, Can-Am stock and super stock. Willie Box over Jeff Rutian. Probably messed that one up. My apologies, but we'll get that fixed when I figure out how to say that properly. Anyway, that was Grand Bend from June.
A lot of action. There's a lot of classes, right? It's
There's
a lot of mouthful to get through that, but it is cool, right? I've seen the golf cart stuff get posted as well. It's neat that they kind of latched onto that and actually made it kind of a series, right? Like it's not just a one-off fun thing, which is great, but really cool to do that and compete with it, I guess.
It's it, and they got a lot of entries. Like I don't know what their situation is on doubles, forget all that, but 65 of them showing up. They do themed on it, but evidently there's some great racing on that end of it. So yeah, from there, bit of a run here. We could leave Canada, but we're not leaving the Canadians behind. The PDRA racing North versus South shootout at Maryland International. Our man Kyle Harris, KHR, picking up the W in Elite Top Dragster. KHR left with the Elite Top Dragster points lead. Ryan, unfortunately, didn't qualify. They had shortened qualifying for all classes, juniors being one of them. Ryan wasn't able to bump into the Elite Junior Dragster side. But Kyle doing what Kyle does best and ended up taking the Dragster down. So the Altered was parked for that weekend. The Dragster was running, and I believe in the one social media post I found that they've now, like Maryland has treated them very well. They now have a win in the Altered at Maryland and the Dragster as well. And I think the Junior has parked itself in the winner's circle there once or twice. So congrats to the Kyle Harris Racing. It'll be fun to watch the rest of the series year unfold as they've got a pretty good lead at the moment in the points. That not to jinx anything as we roll forward. From there, Mid-Michigan. So remember I was talking about the Talbot name probably going to show up here once or twice, right? Because God forbid they never seem to show up any other time. But Brad Talbot, Will Steckley getting over the border into Michigan, running for Mid-Michigan does a 5K bottom ball like no box series, the Moneymaker series. Very well attended. There are some huge names when you talk about Michigan. You got Tar Martakis running around there, Donnie Hagar, who's a world champion. Drew Buchner, who we'll talk about here later on, who's runs over in Michigan as well. But Brad and Will ran over there, and on the Saturday night ended up racing each other in the no box 5K final. Brad carried 2 entries down to 8 cars, where he ran up his first entry against Tom Martakis, lost it unfortunately. Fortunately, his second entry gets through. And as luck would have it, you get rewarded by getting 1 entry through. You get to race Tom Martakis again. This time coming out on the right side for Brad. Will advances to the final. Brad and Will in the final. Not an uncommon theme to see at Grand Bend. Certainly not uncommon to see now in Michigan, with Brad taking the 5K win over Will. Will, as you know, multi-time world champion. So the guy is not a pushover by any means. So great to see the Canadians doing well over there. And then I'll jump to Mission real quick. I always feel bad. I never like to leave out our Western friends, but they had the National Open at Mission, so not the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series like we've seen in the past divisional, but National Open where they brought Division 6 or the Western region. I'm not sure how all calls themselves up. Shockingly, Sean Cowie shows up and evidently just destroys the ET record for Canada. Runs, I believe, if not the fastest, one of the fastest blown alcohol runs in history with a 5:11.9 at 281, and then evidently shockingly takes that performance all the way to the final round. So 7 top alcohol dragsters show up. He puts down a string of 5-teens, round 1 going 5:16, round 2 going 5:18, in the final going 5:19. A little bit bracket worthy here. You could probably put a dial in on this thing and make that work, right? Brando would carry 3 or 4 and see how it goes. Runs Kim Parker in the final, and Kim was the last place qualified car. So just goes to show, it doesn't matter where you qualify, as long as you're in the show, you get yourself to the final. Puts down a great run at 5:51, but just pales to the 5:19 in the lane beside them. So congratulations to Sean on just another front to back win in the top alcohol ranks. From there, I'll throw it at you. TV. 250K. I don't know if you had that tuned in at all throughout your racing weekend that we'll talk about, but I did have some results coming through on my
We watched
screen.
a little bit of it, not a whole lot. I had a boatload going on. The racetrack with a toddler is busy, and apparently I really like to tinker with stuff. So I was busy just messing around with different things on the race cars. and yeah, so didn't get to watch a whole bunch. Obviously, saw some huge results, right? Last year we discussed your boy Drew Buckner, right, rolling down there, coming
Yep.
through the no box side, right, whipping through that.
Well, he actually last year he came out of the no
Yep.
box side. This year came out of
There
the
you
box
go.
side,
So yeah,
off the bottom.
so rips through, right, goes off the bottom, gets the final round of the 250K, right, loses in the final. I forget what the final was, but either way, huge day, right?
Yeah.
Huge
Yeah.
day. Comes around, so 1 year later,
Yeah.
do the event again. Drew's all right. Well, Drew will go back, right? Give it another crack. As for most of us, right, we're all like, okay, you had one wicked day on the biggest one, right, on the 250. How likely is it going to happen again? Well, obviously, pretty likely because Drew rolls around, runners up for the second year in a row. Um, who was it that he had in the final? I can see his name, Nick Folk, right?
Nick
Bad
Folk.
deal,
Yeah.
right? Just bad dude to run into,
Yeah.
right? But it is what it is. Obviously, Drew's a bad dude as well. So had a chance. I didn't see the final myself. I was in bed long before then. So
Okay, I stayed up to watch that one because I was
that's it,
just tuned
right?
in. Can't remember what all we were doing, but yeah, like awesome run. There's Drew like things where he'd be behind and just drove the finish line like a champ and forced
Yeah.
errors, right? And we talk about this a bit as we get into some stuff. We talked about it again in the bracket, the 101 course that you taught, right? Sometimes you can't win around by being offensive. Sometimes you got to induce mistakes, right? And he managed to induce a few and laid down some great laps. Unfortunately, in the final, I think Nick was like 4 dead 8. Drew let go 21 and was like 23 under. So he didn't look wrong beside him, but it just the math wasn't good math for that final round. But yeah, laid down a great lap at 4. I think it was 4 where he was 4. His opponent was 4. He goes low dead on, and opponent's mid dead on, right? For one of those, double
Yeah.
O stripes, right? Just a great lap where he needed it, right? Because I think he was 20 before that and dead on, and his opponent again induced a mistake, and Drew was able to take advantage of it. But huge day.
And that's it,
for
right?
them.
That's what we said before. You got to be good when you need to be, and you got to be lucky when you need to be, but you have to put yourself in the position
Yep.
to be lucky and to be good. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of a weird way to think about it, right?
Absolutely.
But when you say getting lucky, like if he comes up 20, made 20, like that's not a terrible light. Say that's at 8 cars.
No.
Or that's not horrible, but you can't run into the guy that's going to be 4 dead something at that point in time.
Yeah.
And then that next round, then you got to come up and you got to execute when your guy is going to be 4 dead whatever, and say he's 10 total, give or take, right? 10 to 14 if he's dead on is
Yep.
what we're thinking. So you got to be there when you need to be, and put yourself in those positions to roll upright. So awesome for him, right? That's 2 wicked paydays in
Yep.
in 365 days.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, awesome to see. Awesome to see him go represent like that.
And
I'd love to.
yeah. And a good Canadian contingent down there too. And I think it was just as a shout out because I know it was Megan Bonnet's car that was driven by Doug Foley that
Joe
won
Foley.
last year. Joe, sorry, I said Doug. Yeah, Joe Foley. Joe, I think got to round 5 this year, round 5 or 6. It was near. He was mixing it up so because the storyline was could the 2 finalists get it back there, and certainly one of them did. But Foley, I think, took Megan's car to the final in one of the 50Ks on Sunday because they had the twin 50s.
I think he won one of the 50s.
Canadian car won some money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he won one of the W's there. But not to be, I don't want to gloss over this. Owen Bookner, they had a junior class there. So while Drew's going rounds in the 250K, they have a junior race going on. They doubled up the junior, making 1,000 win. Owen Bookner's out there kicking butt, putting up W's, and ends up winning the main event in the juniors the same night his dad is going to the finals and running up for the 250,000. So I can't imagine how chaotic that pit area was. My understanding was the Gomes family kicked in to help out, turn stuff around and help out with the junior. I'm sure that we're down there all just jumping in wherever they need to be to make all that work. But I've never run a modern day junior. I've raced a old school junior. The modern stuff ain't exactly the easiest to turn around. If you're trying to do that in a $250,000 race yourself, kudos to that entire team for all the W's they put up and for everyone that helped them get there, because I'm sure it was a team effort. But that was a wicked fun Saturday night race to watch right there. So great to see Canada on the map.
I'd love to get back, right? We went a couple of years when the SFG race was there. Had a blast, great facility, obviously. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I loved it.
Yeah.
I'd love to go do that again. Maybe if it wasn't my second weekend out with a pretty much completely new combination or setup, right? It's all parts that we've had before, but never mixed them all together. So I need to still work some bugs out of my program yet before we start doing some stuff like that.
Just hitting the road and making it happen. Understood.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's fair.
We've
We've got your weekend update going on here then, right? So this is where we slide in, because we haven't had a lot of Brandon racing weekends. We had a little
You're
bit
right.
from Andrew, NHRA National Open at Luskville, and you set this up well. You've got a combo that is fairly untested, just because again there's not been a lot of race weekends, and you decided to mix it up and go super comp racing on top of it. So we're gonna take a brand new combo and add a throttle stop. That's always the measure of success, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
why don't you give us off some results, and then we can get into just the throttle stop adventure that you went on there and evidently did okay with.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go through race one. Some results here are a little mixed in, so I'm going to piece them all together. So Super Comp, I was fortunate. I did get a round win to get a event win. We'll talk about that after. Super Gas, Eric Stroud got the win on Friday. Super Street was Mike Reynolds. Motorcycle was Larry Lepin Jr. Top Sportsman, Top Dragster combo was Serge Marino. And Super Stock was Brian Clayton for Friday's winners. Saturday, roll over that. Super Comp, huge win. Frank Anger gets down in that. The Fred and Frank joined into Supercom on the Saturday, just whatever, right? Might as well go do it, have some fun. And Frank ran me round one. Frank is 10 on the tree to my 003. I get there first and lose on a double breakout. Frank rolls around, runs Rick Stroud in the final round. He comes up 3 dead on 6. Never, like, I don't know if he's ever won. Yeah. I'm not sure he's ever ran a Pro Tree before. And I know for a fact that he was not running a throttle stop. That thing would go 550. So he was just getting, halfway down, and he'd give it a rip, and then he'd give it another one, and then he gave it one more after, and it runs dead 6. So I don't know what to tell you.
The Angers just scare me with some of the skill that they've got just to make stuff work like that. Yeah. Unbelievable.
It was pretty neat to watch. So not very fun to be beside, but it was still neat to see. He did come out on top and get that done in the final. Super Gas on Saturday, Charlie Kanopik. Super Street, Jamie Champ making the long tour out for the win. Motorcycle, Larry the Pin doubles up. Top Sportsman, Top Dragster combo, Phil Harvey. Bob Park gets the Super Stock win. I believe that was over Ryan Bonifero, who did watch that. So good for all those racers. I do have the regular Super Pro or Luskville results. Give me 2 seconds here. I had them up, and then of course I lost them. Sunday's results. We'll go through it. Yeah, sorry, 2 seconds. Sunday's results, we had Dave Rennie get the win in Super Pro over Jerome Lachance. Rob Segru doubled up. He won Saturday and Sunday semi-pro races. Julia Malcolm won. I believe she won Saturday and Sunday as well. I think there was, what was there? There was three or four junior races, and I believe Julia was in the final. Maybe in 3. I think there was 3 junior races. Julia was in all 3 finals and won 2 of them over the weekend. So
not bad at all. Great start of the year for her.
Julia's killer. I don't know. Her dad was probably there's no doubt in my mind. Her dad is the most winningest racer ever at Luskville Dragway. Derek, obviously, And then now Julie is just killing them all, and Junior's just like nothing, right? Doesn't matter. Yeah, that's what I got. I guess that is all the results. I was looking for more, but Rob Segru made it easy because he won both days in semi-pro. Who won?
Parker Sagan and Junior
Parker
was the one
Sagan.
other winner.
I can't think of who won Saturday's Super Pro race. Cannot think of that for the life of me. I know I lost at 4. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know. We'll get back to that. But yes,
That's all right.
either way, we did talk about my racing, and it's quite a story, honestly. Sorry, as I'm looking through this, I'm trying to find who won on Saturday, but I will find it. Yeah, we've had quite a time moving this. So I'm driving Rachel's car. Obviously, now it is public knowledge. Rachel and I have expecting our second baby, so that's coming in October, mid-October. So that's exciting stuff. Rachel then, therefore, cannot drive the race car this year. So I'm like, yeah, well, let's just give it a try, right? I've always really liked her car. It's really comfortable, right? I've won it last year. So I'm like, all right, I got a fresh engine there. Let's just put it in. Go try it. So yeah, it's been fun. My car right now, it spins the tires with the new engine. It's been shaking them. It's a chassis setup combo. I think we have a spring that's too heavy in the back. Yes, we're working out some bugs there. After Friday, when I did win the Super Comp race, there was only 2 of us, as I did say. It was me and Rick Stroud. So we had 3 time runs. In the 3rd time run, Rick is 10 dead on 5, I believe. So, pretty good. And then I was able to turn the tables on him a little bit and get the upper hand in our elimination round there right after. So Rick was having some carburetor problems that came up. But that's how it goes. I'll take win's a win. I got a nice picture taken, and we had a nice time back in the winner's circle. So that was a cool deal. After Friday, went back, told Mike I wasn't 100% happy with how everything was working. Brought a different carburetor, swapped carburetors, swapped tires, took the 3183s off, put Big Bubba's on it, and then went out, tried again Saturday with a totally different setup, right? As you know, once you change one thing in a Super Comp car, right, you have to relearn your whole, your throttle stop timers, your cruise RPM, all your ratios. So we started fresh Saturday, had a linkage come off the throttle stop. So made the first run. It wasn't closed all the way. So it was a little fast. And then, okay, thought we had it fixed. Go out. It's like it didn't work. It's like it was just in high gear the whole time. Blow through. I went like a 543 or something like that. The linkage, then when it got put back on, half of it was upside down. So the front half was open. Front half was open and the back half's closed. And then when it applied, then it swapped.
It's the other way.
That's it.
Now you know what a 2-barrel would do on
that's it
motor, right?
Yeah. In high gear, it still went 540. So
impressive.
So it's not bad.
So
we got
that. A good practice at how big of a carb do I need? Well, evidently, with only 2 Venturis opening, like
not very big.
Really a lot
right. So we made that change. Go up for round 1. Had no idea what it was going to run. You and I had a quick discussion about that. Overestimated it a little bit, or maybe underestimated it. I think we were going. I was thinking I was going like maybe 565. Maybe it was going closer to 550. But scrubbed some, still no good. But had a lot of fun. Ran the throttle stop all weekend. It works awesome. It was and then learned.
The elimination rounds worked fantastic for it. The Super Pro side once that race started.
Oh yeah! Once we got set up and got it into a spot that we were comfortable with the setup, worked great. Saturday night I went 5 or 6 rounds, maybe 5 rounds. I think I lost with 8 left or something like that, 8 or 7. Car fell off just a touch. Back to the chassis setup that I think if it hits the tires just a little too hard, then it shakes them. It's not a racetrack problem because Kevin Petraeus is going in 425 there, and they had 0 issues. So it's not like I'm overpowering that racetrack. like I said, just need to work on some things. But last Saturday like that, Sunday went around. We were doing well. What I was comfortable with doing was just moving timers to set up where I wanted to be on the dial-in. So I can make it go 570, and then you move. Starting to learn that's where the ratio comes in. Is then how much do you take out of your timer to therefore make your car, for instance, go 568 instead of that 570. So I was moving with that a bit, and then overestimated how much I could get rid of in Rachel's car. The brake setup in that is different than in the Diamond cars. In the ones I was driving before, mine and Daniel's, both it's got 4 brake calipers on the back. All 4 of them are set up on just the brake pedal. So I can kill a bunch of VT at the mile-an-hour cone very easily. Rachel's has a handbrake, so 2 calipers are on the handbrake, 2 calipers are on the foot brake. Doesn't slow down as fast. Yeah. So got down there, got on the brakes, and killed 1.5 maybe, but needed to get more of that 2 to 25 to go dead on. But either way, round 3, Phil Harvey's 8 dead on 3 against me. I let go 16, and that was about that. So, but yeah, we had a good time. It's working really good. I have the shock out of it right now, and we'll make some changes, mess around with some stuff, and see how it goes. But yeah, we had a weekend off, and we'll think about it, reevaluate. I'd like to have it working a little bit better for when we do get to those 2 Super Tour weekends coming up.
Yep. Yeah. That's the tough part too with that, right? You get the 2 back to back, so you can go out and make changes to the first one, but it's not like you get a weekend off in between before you got to head back out on the points chase to, go after that. And this would be with the rain out. This is the first and second weekend essentially,
That's
right?
correct.
So yeah, so you don't want to. It can easily be one of those things where if there's a struggle, it's 4 points races struggle, right? So definitely worth taking the weekend to get that figured out because as a defending dragster champion, you want to come out of the gate strong and lay that down, right? So
no, I'm ready, right, and ready to go wide open on this thing. We missed May for the most part, and then we did go to the racetrack. We sat in the rain, and that's just all part of it. But now that we're back going, I'm just ready to give her.
Weekend after weekend, time to get rolling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, you've had a boatload going on with your racing. We haven't really had a chance to fully discuss your Ohio races. I had a couple of people actually this weekend ask me, like, "Oh, well, why didn't Andrew come?" I'm like, "Well, it's not in Ohio. Andrew only races in Ohio." I don't know if you guys didn't know.
Yeah, if it's not between Start and Grand Bend, which was a test session, if it's not in Ohio, evidently I'm not going. I'm
apparently not. Hey, where are you going next weekend? Where are you going next week? See?
Ohio. That's
no, Ohio. Andrew's not going.
Yeah, that's. I think I travel through Ohio for 1 week where I go from New York to Michigan, but I still got to go through Ohio. So we're going to stop and go to the theme park there. So still Ohio. But
Cedar Point or what?
Cedar Point. Yeah,
nice.
I called in a few favors, and turns out we got a parking spot about 20 miles from Cedar, so we can drop the rig, go there, enjoy it while we're going from Empire to mid-Michigan for the World Super Pro Challenge. It'll be my first trip to the World Super Pro Challenge, and thanks to the folks. I should give a shout out. American Race Cars have been kind enough to loan me a spot for a couple days, paid spot, right? So we're trying to reciprocate on the world there, but Shelly and Travis are going to lay us up for a day or two there as we all head out. But going to try playing that. So still stopping in Ohio. Haven't taken Ohio off the map, but between Dragway 42, the Hootenanny race in a couple weeks, we'll be heading out there. It's the biggest 6-grander on the planet, I think, is how it's described as, with a box and no box format. So
I think it's the biggest little bracket race.
Biggest little bracket race, I've heard some people talk about it as the little 6-grander, but it's a great little deal. So it's our first time going to the Hootenanny race, not our first time at Dragway 42. I think at this point now, people at the TA truck stop, the IHOP, Dragway 42 have all pretty much counted us as regulars at the amount of time we've gone down there. But we did start our Ohio adventures off with the Dragway 42 at the Ace race, and did not. It's one of those races where you lay down some good laps, you just cannot pull into the lanes to save your life, and that's racing, right? You can do that. I don't think we got out of round 3. I did avoid the buyback window, which from a financial standpoint, makes a large dent in.
Helps.
Oh yeah, no, if it's, I don't think I bought back. I think on the Thursday warm-up race, we struggled with the Mustang, had lots of headaches with it. I think we found the issue, which is part 2 of my update, where we fixed it. We're at a different Ohio track in Coonley, which I'll get to. But struggled with the Mustang, did well in the Corvette, just did not have the luck to put the wind light on a heck of a lot of times. But didn't mean we didn't have a great time. Ace races are a great place. Round 6 sponsor, shout out to DSE Automotive. So that's a lot of fun, but they do a great job with it. Then we turned that right back around and went right back to Ohio. I might as well have just stayed there because I think I was only at work for 3 days before I jumped back in the truck and went back down. But Coonley Motorsports Park, Jet Promotions, Antoine Jet, putting them on triple 10K. If you haven't been to Coonley, they have been bought by the Coonley brothers, aka why they call it Coonley Motorsports Park, big trucking. They've put mad money into this place. It used to be called Thompson Dragway, very rustic, older drag strip. They have invested a lot in it. They've got a new crew running it. Antoine put on a race last year at Empire, was very successful. Had a lot of weather issues this one, and then it hurt him a bunch on the Friday, but the Sunday, where they ran the Sunday race on the Saturday because they had weather coming in, drew a good crowd, great racers. I mean, there may not have been 300 cars there, but boy, there was a whole bunch of really good cars there for the smaller amount that they got. And so once I got there, I couldn't, they had to go away from the dragster door car double. So out of the whim, because I couldn't turn 2 cars around in the door car side, decided to just pull the delay box out of the Mustang, which now is fixed. It's running. Thank God, because I was about ready to park it, sell it, cut it up into pieces. I wasn't sure what, but racing it was on the last thing on my list. And got it fixed. And it actually was the car that pulled me through some rounds. Got down to 4 cars in no box, which I think was 12 total in the main event. Made some money on that one. Saturday's main event got down to 6 total in no box, which I think was around 21 total in the main event. Sunday's race, just if I wasn't letting go one red, I was making bad finish line decisions. So not much you can do about that. I was able to pack up and at least get home for Sunday breakfast. But, great event. I give Antoine all the respect in the world. Had a tough go Friday. Made a lot of great decisions. Still paid out $8K, even though they didn't make the full 150 that they needed. Facility's fantastic. I would go back there for a big money race. Mass Traction was there. Brandon Mass just laid down an awesome, 2 lanes there. Full credit to those guys. Can't speak highly enough of everyone involved in that whole deal. But so finally made some money rounds on that one. Again, avoided some buybacks on that one, but they were a little more amicable than the big 20Ks at the Ace race. And then parked at the moment, waiting for Ohio to hold another race, I guess, is my big thing, which will be the Hootenanny. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's a good deal, right? Yeah. I know you got home early. So I wasn't sure how many cars there were, but awesome for you, right? Great making the split. Great getting the Mustang sorted out, right? Obviously, we've talked about that being kind of a thorn in your side a little bit lately, and then you've been really riding the Corvette. So cool to get back out. And then the bottom bulb stuff, right, is something a little bit different. It's a different crowd that you run into when you get to do that. That's a part that I'd really love to be able to do if I did have a door car. So something neat, right?
And that's cutthroat. I mean, it was, I ran into Reed Ricketson, who is a very established racer in Western New York. Like type of guy they just don't want to run into at any point in the race. But like the type of laps that some of the no box guys were laying down were the type of stuff that you look at. And, we just talked about Drew going to the $250,000 final, right? You can't dismiss these guys. I think it was Mason. Antoine's on right now. I'm trying to think of who went to the final and off the no box side in like a 730 door car. Mason. It's going to come to me here. But anyway, just unreal runs against some very great, top ball type cars. And I think came up short. I think he went red in the final. It was, small. Mason Fix. Thanks, Antoine. Like just making a 7:30 door car, right? Like it's just an unreal to see it going around. And I guess it was, and I can't remember who the dragster was in the final that he raced, but like 460 type dragster, right? So yeah, the no box stuff is unreal. I'm certainly glad I held my own because it's been a long time since I let go on the bottom ball, but of non-pure frustration, right? Yeah, great time there. So looking forward to doing it again. Probably do it at the Hootenanny coming up. I was going to run 2 box entries because again the bigger payout is box, but boy, that was kind of fun to let go on the bottom again and not look like an idiot. So
Yeah, absolutely. The not looking like an idiot part makes it a lot more fun. I had this discussion run semi-pro last year in foot breaking it. They're like, you're only having fun because you're doing good. And that's what I agree. I'm like, if I went out there and I'm like 130 and then 79 red, it's not very appealing to me. But
no.
You go out and you were 70, made some changes, and then come up 30, and I'm like, maybe this is all right. Maybe I could get behind this.
When you're mixing it up and you're in the thick of things, it's okay, right? I can't say I didn't win anything in the big scale things, but I was there. I was letting go. When you're one red twice off the bottom, yes, should I have pulled a shim out? Yes, did my crew member Bob tell me to pull a shim out? Did I do it? No, but both times coming up there, hey, like you're in it, you're right there.
Yeah, and then
that's a good spot.
What's worse? You come up one red for the loss, or you're 40 or 50, and then get some guy beside you just wear you out at the finish line.
Yeah.
I really don't like getting wore out like that. So at least one red, you're hitting it, you're there.
Trying.
Yeah, that's it. I do have some more results. I just got sent a message from Greenfield first.
Oh, mint.
Mike Chenier. Mike Chenier was a Saturday Super Pro winner.
See, yes.
I marked that down. I don't know how I missed that. I was there. I watched it
he
happen.
won so much last year, right? Like it's just...
That's it. From pretty much from that, winners just win. Winners just they just keep winning, right? So when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. I do have some results that I just said from Greenfield Dragway. Had a Father's Day to remember, is what I'm told, at Greenfield. Well north of 150 entries through the gate. During Q2 of the Quick 660 class, Danny Walker made a solo pass in memory of his father, Glenn. And it says there was definitely some tears pulled as he crossed the quarter-mile mark. So really cool deal. Awesome to do that, right? Obviously, we all know how big the racing family is and how much it means to do it with your family, right? And then, I don't know Glenn or Danny or whatever the situation is, right? But I know what it's like for the rest of us doing this with dad or with your kids or whatever that is. So how much that does mean for them is really cool. We got John Rankin, Big John Rankin, takes the win over Brett Ramsey in Super Pro. Pro was Bill Shepard, picked up the win when Dan McGrath couldn't make the call in lanes for the final. Bill, we've heard lots of, or we've talked about his name a bunch going to the winner's circle down east. Sportsman Michael Vinot, in his little red truck got the win over Mr. Vince Hazel. Junior Dragster saw Bryson McNeil take the win over Blaine Wynot. Bike sled Devin Mansfield over Stuart Ferguson. Brad Ramsey comes around, wins the Quick 660 class. Won the Quick 660 Glenn Chief Walker Memorial Race over Benny and Easton. So great for them. Awesome to hear that they had a great weekend. We had some Maritimers hanging out with us at Luskville. Glenn McLean made the tour out from the island. Prince Edward Island, he made the long trip out. Glenn and Carter, so did that. It was great. Awesome hanging out with them. Glenn obviously bought Derek Malcolm's dragster, so it was neat to kind of have the dragster come back to Luskville for a race a little bit, and so that was a cool deal.
Yes,
Yeah, they had fun. Not a whole lot of huge results. I know Glenn was having some issues with the car a little bit. We had helped him with a few parts and pieces. I think he had a trans brake solenoid short out on him. So we did that, but great people. They enjoyed it. They had a great time at Luskville, as did everybody. That's kind of where I wanted to segue this into the next part. I know we're almost at the end here now. But I want to talk about the National Open series itself, John Scotty Canadian National Open. Awesome deal. really cool. First time ever having a national open race at Luskville was good.
Yes.
Obviously, a lot of new faces. Not definitely didn't break any records for attendance at Luskville, which was it's too bad. I don't know if you know. I don't know. This is also my first national open, right? So I'm not gonna say there's all these problems with people not supporting it or anything like that. But I think a lot of it is, NHRA kind of scares people away a little bit, right? We all know what that's like with um, licensing, tech stuff, membership stuff. Comes with a lot of added expense. I did learn. No, you already knew that, right? But get more involved in these classes, the super comp stuff. Top dragster, I'm not sure how much. Well, it'd be the same, I guess. Everyone needs a chassis cert. Everybody needs a license. So that all just gets added on, which is fine, right? It's all great stuff to have, but definitely something that scares people away. So hard to start when you bring in a class or a series like that runs classes that aren't run every weekend.
Yeah.
Is kind of
Yeah.
the way to say it, right? For the 90 classes, that obviously we're only 8th miles, so that kind of keeps people away. A lot of the true diehard NHRA racers, right? They only want to run quarter mile.
Yeah.
They
It's a
don't
big
want
quarter
to
mile
do-
base to that.
Yeah. So I understand that too, but if you want to grow index class racing in the super classes, then you have to go support it, right? Because you have to get more people into it. And if that means going and running on the 8th mile a little bit, then so be it. That's Rick Stroud was there. Obviously, we talked about him. Charlie Kanopik was there. Eric Stroud. Those guys, I don't think any of them, well, I know none of them had run the throttle stop on the 8th mile before. They'd just never done it,
It's
right?
one of the things, if I'm, tangent on that one a little bit, that NHRA, I'd love to see NHRA do more of, is they get attached to a length, right? And I know this has been a conversation I think I've had in various circles between the old IHRA days and NHRA, where IHRA, they had 8th mile tracks. They ran for a while some 8th mile national events. It wasn't common, but it was things that would happen. Would love the idea of mixing up the lengths. I think there is a different driving length, a different strategy. I mean, even to the extent of, everyone maxes out their combination to have the max mile per hour for quarter mile racing. Well, I think if you want to rein some of that in, make some of these events 8th mile at 8th mile facilities, and all of a sudden now these super high horsepower cars, the advantage starts to come back because you can only run so much power before you got to slow the thing up to go 570 or 630 or 690, right? Different driving style. It just, I think we get caught up in this length discussion. And, if you watch, I think Mountain Motor Pro Stock and Pro Modified are probably the absolute best case examples of what it takes to win in 660 feet and what it takes to win in 1320 feet is distinctly different. Now, mind you, there's a lot of the same guys who can win on both lengths. I would also say those are some of the top racers of their class in those two categories. Those are the two that most commonly go back and forth between the two distances. But it takes a different set of it's a different combo, different skill set. And add in the sportsman dynamic of where we're running indexes or dial-ins, right? It's a different skill set a little bit to do it. Doesn't mean a driver can't win on both, but particularly the rod class or super classes. I'm used to the IHRA lingo of rod classes. Give me some time here, I'll figure it out. But I think that'd be something that's good, and that's where I look at this National Open and go, they've got both. It's going to take a skill set to learn to do both. I'd love to see that, I think, on the bigger scale of NHRA and mix this in. This might be a good test bed for that because, I know 1320 is where everyone's the happiest, but you can't tell me that there wouldn't be some interest in trying to mix it up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my soapbox moment.
That's it.
Take it. But.
I agree. And either way, I'm excited to try the 90 stuff on the quarter mile when we do go to Naperville for the next National Open race. And I believe that comes with a total different timer setup, right? In combination with that. So I'd like to get. I think I have a unconventional way of getting to 570, I guess, based on what I've seen for the norm of the super class racing, or just what I've learned. Right? I did this for a weekend, and I don't know all the, everything for this stuff for sure, but reading a lot, watching a lot. The way that I've kind of made the car do that, we're at a different rate of speed and different timer and things like that than what the standard is. So I think that's also because I've only done it on the quarter mile or on the eighth mile. I haven't went the full length
That's right. Yeah.
of the quarter to really gauge what that is, right? So we're getting rid of a full second here. Where get to the quarter mile, we're going to get rid of almost 2 seconds. So that'll be interesting to see how that all goes. But big like overall for me now, like knowing firsthand what it costs and the time investment that you need to get into the super classes. It's going to take a lot of time, obviously, as we all know, to grow that stuff if we're going to stick to it. And I did talk with Glenn, who is running the NHRA stuff, the Open Series. He's committed, right? He's not backing off this stuff or get ready to just give up and throw in the towel. But you show up if you're just a dude that has a dragster or a door car and just runs whatever super pro, and you go to one of these races, you're going to spend whatever $260 in a chassis cert. You're going to spend X amount of dollars in a license to run NHRA. We've had all the conversations about the NHRA license or the membership and the value of that. It's value, like the insurance stuff, everything, that it is very valuable, even if you're not doing it, for something were to happen on the racetrack. So that's a side point, right? I've never had it until this point, so I can't sit here and argue and tell everybody that they need to sign up for NHRA, right? I've raced for 10 years and never had it, so now I do. So either way, but I know the investment monetarily that you need to spend. You obviously need to invest in a throttle stop too, so that's another added expense. You also need to invest the time and effort to figure out how it all works, right? Because that's not just boom, simple, easy. As much as the idea is, you just set the timer and go 570 or 890 or vice versa. And
it's one of the fun common misconceptions of those who are like, you just throw a computer in it and it goes 90, whatever 90 you want. Yeah. And it's usually when I laugh maniacally because I've spent too much money trying to figure that out and way too many brain cells and time to go like, yes, it's totally simple.
You can you can go ask Mike, Vicky, or Rachel about how my weekend was and kind of how mental I started to go on this stuff and trying to track it and see what the car's doing and figure out how to get better at it and changes that I want to make the car better. And it's a lot of investment, not just money, but time that you're going to give up doing these things. You need a test day or you need to be committed to go out and make a boatload of runs. I think in the last 2 weekends, I had to have made almost 40 runs, 40 or 45 laps down the track, a bunch of those being just test runs on my own, just trying to figure out this throttle stop stuff. So, it's, it's fun. Obviously, I like making rips down the track, but I can see where it'll get frustrating. So, it's hard to judge the turnout or an event based on the first time it's happening, like this one at Luskville, having a very low count for the super classes. So I don't know, everybody who was present, they all loved it. They all had a great time. Track was wicked. There was a lot of super stock guys that were flying. They had a couple of the whatever the Mustangs are, like whatever.
Oh, the
Hover Jets
setups.
They were going like 531 was the quickest they went. Like they were motored, right? And some wicked wheel spans.
It's a sneaky
fast stuff. Was awesome. So that was really good. Yeah. Everybody who was there, like I said, had a great time. I just hope that it keeps coming back and we can keep doing the 90 stuff because I'm starting to really get turned on by it. So I'm having a lot of
it's growing on you, right?
Yeah. I love the challenge. I love the added challenge, and then made some timer changes, went out and went 570 with a 2 Sunday morning, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, that feels great. That feels good. Yeah.
Right? You hit that bullseye in a meaningless run, but you do, and you're like, that's that blind run Sunday morning at a national event that you're like, I want.
Yeah.
I want that.
That's, I think, Saturday morning I went 569.9, and then Sunday went 570 with a 2, and then proceeded to keep moving and changing things and making alterations. But either way.
It's an addictive deal. I'm glad to hear that. Like I think talking to Glenn, it sounds like they've got that multi-year plan. I know the Angers are very smart business people, right? Who run Luskville now, and I think they understand like it takes time to grow these things, right? You got to have a multi-year plan. Sometimes the first couple of years can really just kick you. The NHRA National Opens at Cayuga have done well, but it's been a long invested time to get there, right? I know Napierville's been very similar, right? In investment time. So you think you're right? I think if you got any sort of race promotion, whether you're doing bracket racing or, in this case, the National Open, if you've got a 3-year plan, you got the ability to sustain it and get through that when those maybe first 2 years are tough. People love consistency, and if you got something good like this, sounds like this, it will come. It just takes time to grow, right? And I told a bunch of super stock buddies from out this way, I said, you're heading out there. Tried to give them a few different ways to get around downtown Ottawa. I don't know how it all worked out for everyone, but just make sure you come prepared for a great track, prepare for, fast ETs, and make sure you bring a whole bunch of jets because it's going to be way better than you think it's going to be. And sounds like in a lot of cases from the feedback I got, it was, right? So stuff like that only going to help grow it. And that's super awesome to hear that, it was a good event.
Yeah.
The overall.
And the Angers did throw in some Super Tour bacon, right? We even got to do that Saturday night. We had a barbecue out there. I know Jamie Champ got to partake, in all the Angers fun. We had, it was a blast. We got them hooked on the bacon. We had the hot dogs, and then we had the vodkas with the Mio in that. Like, it was excellent.
I want to be really positive about all this, but you've just thrown a negative in there that this was not advertised. And as such, I find this to be a complete failure of the marketing system, that the Angers party was not advertised as part of this. And that's the only down part I can take from all this. So I'm super sad to hear that.
I don't have the can of water in here. I had a couple of cases of it in the motorhome. The Angers did
Luskville
water cans. It was pretty cool. So it had that. It had the John Scotty National Open Series logo on that. It had the Carl Jessup Memorial logo on it as well. It was wicked. Really cool. Yeah. Really cool deal. So there's a lot of, I know I'm wearing the Luskville shirt. It is what it is. Huge supporter of it. Obviously, I am. Love the National Open stuff. Love the weekend. Had a great time. Everybody did come. Hopefully comes back again. We talked about Jamie Champ, with the Angers Fun. Might have Jamie talked into coming to the bracket. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I know for a fact there's a racer out in London who's packed up and ready to head out there for the Luskville, the summer. I'm getting myself mixed up here because the spring race is after the summer race, the summer bash. Perfect. So, there's some Western Ontario folks gearing up to come out there, but the bacon don't hurt, making everyone
absolutely, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm excited to see everybody. We'll see what kind of happens throughout the year. Obviously, I'm doing the 2 National Opens at Napierville. Maybe we talked about, we'll see how the points shape up. Maybe we try and make a tour to Miramichi. Who knows? Right? We'll see. Currently, have I believe it did say a lead in the SuperCom points. So we'll see how that rolls. That's it.
Dismiss that.
That's it. All right, guys. Thank you very much for hanging out for episode 85. Appreciate you all. Appreciate all the comments we did get in there. We did get, even all the American friends hanging out. Got you hooked up with Mason Fix there. Appreciate that. That's about it that I got for episode 85. First one. It was nice.
I think we're good.
You and I just chatted a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I think just as a general info, we may be skipping the July 1st one, Canada Day. We haven't quite decided on that, but I have to admit, being that it actually is the day off, we may take a national pride holiday there of Canada Day and just say, we will come back at you maybe the week after. I haven't looked at schedules, but we'll update you if everyone out there wondering, every 2 weeks. Canada Day might turn out to be a little bit messy. We're going to see how
maybe we'll come back and then we'll do it after the second Super Tour race. And then, maybe we have a bunch of big checks that we're hanging both of us.
I like that idea, actually. I'm working through that one as just doing the live brainstorming, which is a new dynamic to the show here. Yeah, I think that actually works because that could either be disastrous for our egos or triumphant for those who've done well over those 2 weeks. Let's work on that.
Exactly.
I like that idea.
We'll
I
try.
like that idea. All
All
right.
right, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you to the Canadian Bracket Super Tour, supporting the show, supporting the Bracket Life broadcast. 2 huge weekends coming up. Not this weekend. We got a big wedding to do with. So no racing for me. But that's all right. Do that. That'll be a fun weekend here. Still see a bunch of racing friends anyway, so it's almost the same.
Yes.
You know? So yeah, big wedding for us, for Nick and Ashley. So that'll be great. Then Luskville, then Naperville, 2 huge weekends. You're heading back to the great state of Ohio. Or
Yes.
back to it, back through it, whatever. Either way.
Heading to it, and I got that Naperville event. There's an open date on that calendar for me that I originally was looking at for the 5K for a Napier race, but I may not need to take the weekend off before we go on tour, or I may just show up.
You never know.
For event
Right.
number 2. We're going to
That's
play
it.
that by ear. Depends on how much caffeine I can ingest
Yeah,
between now
absolutely.
and then.
All right, guys. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Andrew, and we'll talk to you all soon. See you at the racetrack.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Bracket racing isn't just what we do, it's who we are. It's how we identify ourselves.
What does bracket racing mean to me? It's my life. It's where my people are. My idols, my family, my friends.
Bracket racing is life. Bracket life.